flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everybody at home. Am I on? Oh, that's good. The guy we had last meeting was pretty good, though. He got everybody in. It was really good. Except he didn't put the equipment away right, did he?
I came out there.
Oh. Is there any public comment? Anybody? Can be on anything. I don't care what your comment on. Maybe somebody wants to not listen to the whole meeting and wants to make some public comment now.
Oh, no, I'm very much interested in the whole meeting.
Okay.
My name is Ann Molina, and I'm a resident of Highland Falls, and I just wanted to thank this board for being so supportive of the seniors, the young and old seniors of Highland Falls, and agreeing to work with the Center of Highland Falls. We have been meeting regularly with the Highlanders. We've been meeting with the Senior Citizen Advisory Council with a full agenda planned, including trips to Westchester Broadway Theater. With permission of the Village Board, we'll be doing activities at the Senior Center. We've been working very closely with Aaron, who's given us so much support and arranging things, along with your comptroller. They've been very supportive in the process of us working with the town. So we just want to say we really appreciate your support and like to let all the seniors know that you really are behind the seniors in the town, and I think we're moving along very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions for us, we're available.
Yeah, I have one. First of all, I want to say exceptional job. I believe you guys are doing great. The whole team that's along with you there at the center, doing an incredible job, not just for the seniors, but the entire community.
Thank you.
But the question I have that's specific to the seniors is, so a lot of times the issue is not that we're doing good things, but it's like people don't know. So what is the mechanism to communicate to the seniors or have them communicate to you?
Okay.
Is there some sort of dialogue or?
We've done several things. Number one, we've been able to reach out specifically to the Highlanders. We have their email. We're going to their meetings. We're talking to some of their representatives on a regular basis. We also attend the Senior Citizen Council Advisory Council meeting.
Okay.
And then the first Wednesday of the month, we have what's called Speak Out at the Center,
Okay.
where the seniors are invited to come in and to meet and talk with us and give us their ideas, concerns, criticisms.
Okay.
This Wednesday, we have what's called Come Eat Lunch and Learn. You can bring your lunch, or we order lunch out, and that way we have a dialogue. The third Wednesday of the month with Charlie Murphy and Cindy Malden, we have what's coffee, have your blood pressure done, and the whole time dialogue is going on in the community. We listen to what people want, what their concerns are,
Right.
specifically the seniors.
Well, that's great. So so that's exactly the right answer. And the thing that I would add, if you haven't already thought about it, one of the things that concerned me over the last 4 years is in terms of being in the office and a liaison to the seniors is, how do we capture the entire community? It appears that the community is becoming more and more diverse, and you got people that even speak another language as their primary language. Are there any outreach efforts to try to get to a larger population versus the people who we always see in everything all the time?
Well, I don't know how it came about, but we have been reaching out to, like our activities, I said, Westchester Broadway Theater, our Speak Out at the Center, all new seniors that are participating. It's new. We have a bilingual member of our board who has reached out to the Spanish community.
Very good.
We did an open night with the intermediate school, and we had about 25 older adults come out to that. They wanted to learn English.
Outstanding.
So we'll be working with that also. So we are getting the word out. We have a great board. I just want to make sure we include Kathy McCutcheon and Desiree Talley, who's on the board at the center. So we reach wide and far, but we are reaching out to all areas. What I explained to the Highlanders, that the trips now will be available to the Highlanders, the Senior Citizen Advisory Council, as well as the town of Highland at large. It's open to everyone, Bear Mountain to West Point. So we are getting new seniors involved in activities.
You know, that's right, the right spirit. We know the Highlanders is a club that folks can join at their leisure and participate at whatever the agenda is, but it's exclusive in that respect. So now to have a representative of the town making sure that we touch everybody, that's exactly what we're looking for. So thanks. Again, for folks at home, we just want you to know, seniors, I'm your champion. I'm trying my best to give you the services, but we're doing it through the center now, and I believe that was the right choice by the board. So kudos to the rest of the board members, I think.
And I would ask the community that when you see these board members, please walk up to them, shake their hands, and thank them, because they're very supportive. I do thank you very much for taking the, working with us so closely.
So thank you, board members. Desiree, Ms. McCutcheons, was it?
These board members.
Okay, listen, but your board, I'm gonna tell you, what's exciting about it is diversity. We talk about diversity, but your board is diversity, right? So I see someone young, and I see someone just a little bit older, and then just a little, just a little. But it looks like the community, so thank you for doing
And
that.
I do want to say special kudos to June, because she's there for everything. We have a sit and chat history group, and she's been a little slack, but she was providing some snacks for us, so. Thank you.
Thank you so
But
much.
just to follow up on what Councilman King was saying, the center and the board members and the volunteers do a terrific job for the entire community, as well as the seniors. And thank you.
Good evening, Jim Modlin, Highland Falls. I'm representing the Chamber of Commerce tonight. One comment, I was going to thank all of you for the tremendous support that you've been giving the Chamber of Commerce. Certainly the time that I've been involved with it, and I know very recently the Orange County Tourism is going to be doing some things for us, it looks like, and your support for that. So I just want to thank you all very much for that. And then also, Councilman King got me thinking a little bit about the way we're getting information out to the diverse groups within the community. Another thing I'd like to, I know you all know about, but for the folks at home, I'd like for them to be aware of are the community forums that we're doing. Although not a Chamber of Commerce thing, there are a lot of people who are in here that attend the community forums, and that is one of the things that we're certainly trying to do, is to get a lot of diversity within that in terms of age, in terms of demographics, in terms of a lot of different things. So that's been going on since October. The next one is going to be a week from this Wednesday, the 20th of March, and we have been having them the third Wednesday of every month at the center. The center's been kind enough to host them for us and everything. So I think that would help in terms
Absolutely.
of the things that you were talking about and everything too, to bring them,
Hey,
bring the groups together.
hats off to you, Jim. Definitely
Thank you.
doing great things over there, so thank you so much. And then to extend that to this new effort is spot on, non-political. It's
Yeah.
just a thing for a community forum where people can come and ask questions, I believe, right?
Right,
And
yeah,
so I think it's a great initiative. Thank you.
Yeah, and a lot of good ideas are coming out of that, a lot of good communication.
I wrote a letter to the county, and if you remember the last meeting, I asked the board's permission to do that, and that went out on March the 1st. Have you heard anything back on that?
Unofficial, that they have received it, and unofficial things are looking good.
Oh, okay, very good.
So
Very good.
so do
That had to
sincerely
do with
appreciate
getting
that.
$4,000 or $5,000 from the county for the chamber to do a local map and
Brochures, advertisements for the
local map and
local,
what have you.
and it's going to be a town of Highlands. And I sort of want to bring one in and show it to you when we actually have something for you to look at. But it's going to be a town of Highlands wide with some art, decorative mapping, and some other things associated with it. It's going to be very, very nice.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you all.
Anybody else have anything? Okay. Oh, okay, Olga.
Olga Anderson, Village of Highland Falls. I have a couple of things, so I hope I can get more than the customary 3
I'll
minutes.
give you 3.5 minutes.
One, I just wanted to invite the board and all of the town residents to the Earth Day event that I'm working on with the library and the Community Garden of Holy Innocents. It'll be April 27th at the library from 10 to 2. So we're inviting any businesses that have sort of green-related products or services who would like to spotlight those things at the Earth Day event to just contact me, and we'll see if we can work them in. The other thing I wanted to bring up is kind of echoes what our county legislator, Lori Tortel, brought up at the last meeting. She mentioned some initiatives that are around the climate smart state initiatives, and she mentioned the Green Team, which was actually a team that we worked on a number of years ago. I don't know if anybody remembers the bike and hike program over Storm King. That was of our doing. So I'm trying to reconstitute the Green Team at this point in time, but kind of give it a little bit more legitimacy and strength. I would like to propose to the board that it sort of become a Citizens Environmental Advisory Council. I would envision it as being sort of serving an advisory role to the town to preserve and enhance local government, local environment, advance the climate smart community initiatives, organize and participate in environmental-related events and other conservation activities. So, I mean, it becomes a lot more formal. It has a lot more clout that way. There are state rules and regulations around the formation of such advisory boards, so I would be happy to pull that and send it on to the board. There's an awesome guide to organizing such a council that was published by folks down in Westchester County, which I could also forward. So I just put that forward for your consideration.
Thank you. That was just 3 minutes. Anyone else? Desiree, you got anything?
No.
That was hesitant, you sure? I've known Desiree since she was that big.
Okay, so we had our 7th annual March Mania basketball tournament started last weekend. It was pretty successful. We opened it up to adults this year, so the adults played last weekend, and we have the kids playing this weekend for anybody that wants to come. It's on Friday night and all day Saturday.
That's
We
the
do
March
tacos in the
Madness
bag.
you're talking?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Tacos in the bag, which is a big hit, so you don't want to miss that. I don't know what else to say.
And I hear that was an overflow crowd last,
Yes, it was
Yes.
very nice to see
yeah.
the stands crowded. Very, very nice.
And what time is it this weekend?
This weekend, doors will open at 5:30, and the first game will be at 6. So we'll play 6, 7, and 8 o'clock.
And then I'll do Saturday.
Also on Saturday. Also, we have Family Bingo on April 5th, if anybody wants to attend at Holy Innocents.
Okay, the March Madness, don't get away from that.
Okay.
Where?
Oh, it's at
Sacred Heart.
Is it Sacred Heart?
Sacred Heart Gym, and it's on Friday night, and it's also all day Saturday. So doors
Okay.
open at Saturday at 9 a.m.
Very good.
Okay.
Now, I interrupted you. What else were you going to talk about?
Sorry, I wasn't prepared to speak. There is Family Bingo Night for prizes at Holy Innocents, hosted by the center. What we do is we have the grand prize, I think it was $75 for the last game, but we give away prizes, so we play with kids and the adults. So both groups have a chance to win each game. So we've been having a pretty big turnout with that.
Good.
And that'll be April 5th
April 5th.
at Holy Innocents.
All right,
All right.
good job.
Thank you. Previous minutes, February the 25th. Need a motion to approve?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Communications. I mentioned the letter that I sent to Harry Poor, who's the acting county executive right now, asking for support and money. So we'll see what happens with that, and Jim seems to think it's in a positive area. Now, communications, and we can discuss this a little bit further in the meeting, but I received a letter from Thomas Cowan, who is the Army,
Deputy.
He's a deputy to the garrison commander, yes. And it's about the Long Pond lease, which by the way, since 1974, we've leased Long Pond in 5-year renewal stints, since 1974. And that's about the lease that expired December 2018. Normally, I'm notified that it's about to expire. We want a couple extra dollars for this and that. And they never notified me, and which I thought was kind of odd, until I heard all the rumors on the street, which the street got the information before I did. But a very short letter, the Corps of Engineers is telling me that the new fees will be $25,000 with an appraisal of $10,000. And without the appraisal, this part I don't understand, without the appraisal, plus there would be a rental fee, which they say must be at a fair market value, and a processing fee. Evidently, in the past, the Post has paid these fees because the town was not able to. Town wouldn't, and it was only a $2,000 fee 5 years ago. I cannot justify this expense, meaning the Post paying it. I would rather run it and not pay the Corps of Engineers anything. My proposal is that we take over running Long Pond. The town and us would sign an MOA, which would allow patrons of the town to use Long Pond for a fee similar to what they've been paying in the past. He's willing to come meet and discuss, which I will set up a meeting with him. I mean, they threw this $25,000, $10,000 rental processing fee. I mean, those are deterrents to us taking it over. In round numbers, we take in revenue about $25,000 a season, and we pay about $50,000 for the help and upkeep and all the other things we have to do out there. So it's going to be a very tough decision for the town board to make. And should we go their way, this MOA is really going to have to be strong on our side. And we know that dealing with West Point, just recently, we were put out of the, what am I talking about? The garbage center.
Transfer station.
I lost that name. We were put out of there because they're closing it down, shutting it down completely. They're going to fill up all the holes in there, knock the buildings down, and bring it back to nature. They're still running it. They're running it for West Point, no different than they did when we were in there. So am I saying we can't trust West Point and contract and what they're doing? I am. Okay, I think that's all I have in that. We paid out $69,347 on February the 28th. The larger expenses are group medical, $27,959. CEJJ for sanitation and trash cans and supplies, $3,866. For diesel fuel, we paid $2,196. For a clutch for one of our heavy-duty trucks, $2,065. O&R for streetlights, $2,789. Reed Systems for highway and snow materials, highway and snow and ice materials, $2,160. Rockland County Solid Waste, $9,730. And Royal Carting for January 2019, that's for recycling materials that we send up to Newburgh, $2,435. Any questions on those expenses? Liaison reports. Let me start with the other Richie. Richie Perry?
Bob, I just noted with the library, and I think Mary Jane had an article in the paper about the use of their parking lot. They would encourage local residents not to use it as a municipal lot. It's for the parking, for the library only and their patrons, particularly when snow has to be removed. And also like to again thank the Highway Department for the work that they've been doing and keeping the roads open and safe. during the storms. We've been fortunate, but the roads have always been open and safe. So just thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Joe?
Not much. The one young lady and the two gentlemen that we hired last meeting will start their Phase 2 schooling. We're sponsoring them. They'll start their Phase 2 schooling tomorrow, so, and I think that they're very excited about it, and
We are.
I don't know if the chief has more to say about that.
Yeah, well, he'll get his turn.
Other than that, things are good with the police department, and
Good. Ty?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. So tonight, very brief for me, I only have two things. I wanted to reiterate something that's on the center's schedule, which is the Senior Speak Out. It's a monthly coffee and conversation to exchange ideas and opinions. Kind of speaks to my question earlier about how you get the dialogue. And so there's one opportunity there for seniors. It's a coffee monthly. And then additionally, tonight we're supposed to discuss the proposal of purchasing the old dial-up bus as we get the new one for $1 or whatever it is, and see the feasibility of keeping that because of maintenance and all that. And I know that Colleen today sent out an email. I'm not sure if everybody got a chance to see it. So I want to start the dialogue, which will hopefully put an end to this conversation.
Good. Well, we'll do it
Okay.
a little further on the meeting.
Okay, so that's all I got then.
Well, to add something to your department, if you don't mind, today I received an email, which is the longest email I've ever gotten on this telephone. It was really long, and it was from a disgruntled citizen who was having a problem with the basketball availability, the games, the times, the cancelizations, and all this sort of things. This was during the period of time that Aaron was mourning and out of work. So equally long, Aaron sent her a very quick reply back explaining all the situations, very nice emails back to her, and offering his cell phone number. And her big problem was that they don't go on Facebook, and a lot of Aaron's changes and stuff like that are put on Facebook. But anyway, I'll give you the end of this if I get another email back from her, but Aaron very handedly, nicely took care of it.
We all know Sacred Heart Gym didn't have heat for a while. I went to a game there tonight and it had heat before I came here. That wasn't true for a while. That was addressed, and Aaron moved it to the intermediate school as much as they could handle. They have their functions also.
Right.
So he did make an effort to address it. We don't own or run Sacred Heart, so. My turn?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure? Okay.
No,
Building.
3 minutes.
Last Thursday, I went with Bruce to meet with the village attorney, the village engineer, the mayor, the DPW foreman, and the village clerk about outstanding issues at the senior center. That's being worked on. We're moving forward. Everybody vented what's on their mind and what's happening, and I'm not sure what direction it's going to go, but that meeting did take place. Our building inspector, as usual, crossed his T's and dotted his I's. The ZBA, next, on Wednesday, March 20th, will meet. They have a public hearing that night, so the third Wednesday of the month, and it is confirmed they are meeting March 20th. Light poles. David Rose, I think, sent 2 emails last week. He's a guy that works for Computel that was brought on to basically get you a rebate when you're being overcharged by a utility. Nothing to do with LED lights or anything. The last email I saw said that he was almost done, but there was some administrative snag and that's not done yet. Whatever it is, by the way I read that agreement, they'll get 50%, at least after the first rebate, if I'm not mistaken. So that's ongoing. In parallel with that, as I told everybody when I went to the Association of Towns, I went to a seminar conducted by Kevin Lutheran of the New York Power Authority, who deferred me to Jeff Lano, who I sent out recently all the data he wanted, 3 bills, a streetlight inventory, maps, analysis of how many lumens and how many kilowatts. We use 31,000 kilowatts for all our streetlights, and our monthly bill is not quite right here. It's a little bit shy of the 2,700 because the 900 missing from the new, help me, Kelly, who is that?
Direct Energy?
Direct Energy. So typically, it's between $3,300 and $3,600 a month. The chief sent people out to see that 9 of them were burned out for a while. We're trying to reconcile that, and if you look at some of those bills, since this guy's been prying into it, this David Rose, the inventory has changed. The number of lights that are 4,000 lumens and 5,800 lumens, they've changed in the last bill, so they must be taking a look at it and trying to reconcile it. Anyway, this guy Jeff, I sent out the email to and I spoke to him. They'll do a proposal for free. And I asked him in the studies, when he comes here, to please do all the things associated with LED, alleged sleep interference, insect attraction, comparing it to all the other lights, titanium, to mercury vapor, sulfur vapor, all that stuff. Any grants that are available, the issue of pole rental. You still have to rent the pole and other logistics. He told me he'd have that done by next week. Whatever he gives me, I'll distribute to the board, but if he comes here, I want it to be in the paper, and I want the community to be here to hear what he has to say, if that happens, okay? We'll look at it, and what basically happens is we would take ownership of all 167 lights and change them over to LED and be responsible for maintaining them. The New York Power Authority has grants and will help you with that. I don't know how long it would take to recognize savings. That's all part of his workup. But if he comes, I don't want the room to be empty. I'd like the people involved to hear what he has to say. I went to the village meeting. Trustee Ramus spoke to the same subject. I emailed him and said, you know, whatever you got going on with your 200 lights, let's compare forces. And I haven't heard back from him yet. I just sent that out the other day. Sewer. So everybody got we did an RFP for the roof of the control building, which is not part of the grant. I'll let Justin explain the RFP, our procurement policy. We had 4 people respond, 2 didn't want to get involved, 2 gave us prices, and I think I sent everybody out what's included in those prices as well as the conditions. I hope we act on that later. What else? Oh, the issue of the 2014 agreement for the EFC project, number 2, which we talked about downstairs briefly. Al Fusco wanting to change that because of what has happened with the analysis of the fine diffuser analysis, which had to have a life cycle. It's a going green thing. The end of that report said that if we do this, 8 years from now, we'll save money. It would take 8 years in order for it to pay for itself. He didn't allow for the amount of time it's going to take to pay for the extra $47,000 it costs to do the analysis, but we have to act upon that at some point in time. And down at the sewer plant, every year, our operator, by law, has to submit to the DEC what the annual average flow was. Last year, it was 96,000 gallons per day. We're approaching 95% of capacity, at which time you'll have to prepare an action plan to the DEC. We know there's infiltration, and I thank you for sending me this law that I haven't had a chance to look at. I'm going to tell you that I'm going out of my way to try and get TV cameras in and do some testing from the plant moving outward with the money that we have allotted to do that. With the other projects down there, I've been a little bit tied up, and I'm going to tell you, any outside the district users, which we have one big one, I think we're going to have to look at this law, and I believe we're going to have them do some type of an inventory of see what's going on with infiltration there as well, because there's no flow meters showing what they're putting out every day. And my final thing is on a town engineer, our RFP. I did call Dawn at Lincoln Tully, and I called Pat Hines, and I hope that we act on that tonight.
We will. Okay, thank you. Chief?
I just wanted to also report that the 3 Phase 2 candidates start tomorrow in about a month. They'll be back out for field training. They have to do 160 hours. Our 2 previously certified police officers are on solo patrol, so they already passed our field training program, so we have them on the schedule. We start our DWI initiative for 2019 in March, and then this Saturday, we will do the alert training day 1 at O'Neill High School. So we thank the superintendent for allowing us to go to high school. So that will be this Saturday, followed by a second Saturday of hands-on work. So we've got a busy month coming up. all I have.
Chief, I just want to say that publicly, again, since you've been on board, what I have noticed is a lot of emphasis on training, and not to say they weren't training before, but it wasn't noticeable to me, and it is with you. So thank you for what you bring to the table.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Anybody else with the chief? No? Thank you, chief.
Thank you, sir.
Kelly, do you have anything?
No.
Nothing? Sure? My son notices that I don't give a formal report like we do with the board, but if you will notice, throughout the meeting, I interject. I don't just do my stuff, I interject in a lot of things, and if there's something I need to be reported on, such as the Long Pond and what have you. So if I feel as though I need to put something in that space, I will, but other than that, I'm not ducking it. My son thinks I'm ducking it, though. Attorney, do the attorney have anything to say? Let's talk about that Fusco's amendment.
Sure.
We got to put that to bed tonight, I think.
Sure. So as Councilman Sullivan just stated in his brief report, the engineering project, the large-scale EFC sewer upgrades related to the storm mitigation loan program, right? Approximately a $2.8 million project that you all have been dealing with since late 2014. We are just about ready to go out to bid, so that's good news. During that process, as the councilman said, there was some additional engineering required by the EFC officials, largely related to this fine diffuser issue that Richie mentioned. The engineering and the analysis of that was work that Mr. Fusco believes was outside the scope of the original contract with the town. So he's requested some additional payment. If you recall, the original contract was broken into three components. There was a sort of a pre-project planning, which was fully paid a long time ago. Phase 2 was the engineering and design work for the project. That was quoted at $150,000 of engineering fees. Phase 3 is the construction phase, and we hope to be there shortly. That phase is $100,000. So initially, the entire contract was $260,000. There's been a request for additional payment in this Phase 2. I believe the request was approximately $47,000. He did write it, he did break it down. So ultimately, the board needs to determine whether they're willing either to pay what he's asking for or to have a conversation and pay him what you feel is appropriate for the additional work.
Richie, you got any comment on that?
I'm not overwhelmed.
You've been doing all our sewer work.
No, I'm not overwhelmed. You were down there the day we met Kevin Kastner, I believe, and I got something from GHD, and then we were pretty adamant with them because we were so far behind on all that. And this will be on YouTube, so I got to be careful what I say because Al will watch it. But anyway, he was concerned about his end also being paid. So, and the answer we keep getting is it's coming out of the grant. The grant being $700,000 out of $2.8 million or something like that.
Yeah, so it's not really coming out of the grant, right? But that's correct. That's the approximate figures, right? Of the $2.8 million project, approximately 1/4 of that is full grant funding. The 2.8, what is really being said is that in the $2.8 million figure, and again, we haven't gone to bid yet, so we don't have concrete figures. But in the initial project, there was a contingency fund, quite typical of a project of that size and scope. And right, so in theory, assuming we get bid numbers that are quality and based on what our expectations were, this $40,000 figure or whatever the board determines is appropriate should be coming out of the contingency funds. That's speculative, as we don't actually know the answer to the the bid cost. But based on what we've seen, that is likely to be the case.
But I correct something that you said. You say we are going out to bid, but we are out to bid. The
My
bid papers are out.
apologies.
Okay.
Yes, misstatement,
Okay.
right. They're due back Wednesday, this week. Right, my apologies. I meant we haven't gotten to the opening yet.
Did anybody pick up the electrical portion?
We've had 4 people pick up the packet.
The electrical portion?
Just
Or-
one packet.
It's all together.
It's all one.
Well, at your meeting there, when you were down there, I thought Al said he didn't have anybody bidding on the electric.
Somebody, I think, maybe our highway superintendent made a comment in an email. I wasn't down there for that. I didn't make that meeting. I wasn't able
Oh,
to go
that's right,
that
he
day.
didn't make it, but he was, but I think there may be a separate, a way to bid the electric separately.
I didn't read it. There's a book. and-
Yeah, I know.
Yes. I mean, the supervisor's correct. On this type of project, electrical work gets bid separately from the other part of the project. Doesn't just go to the general
You'd
contractor.
pick up the whole packet, but you'd
Right,
only
well,
bid
there's
on the
a separate
electrical part.
Piece just for electric.
But usually
Everything
that's a
Right.
component of the bid, usually.
So
Which
it
does not
can
have-
be a component, right? Someone could bid on all parts, right? But it's broken out separately because people
Right.
with just expertise in electric might bid just that component, might not have anything to do with the base of the project. You are correct, at least verbally, when there was the pre-bid meeting, we were not aware of separate electrical engineers bidding that
But
portion.
we may have someone from town that's going to bid the electrical part.
So having corrected me, thank you. So you may have a lot more information in 2 days. I know your engineer has been asking you to address this issue, and I appreciate that he's done the work and so feels it's appropriate. On the other hand, you may know much better on Wednesday whether or not actually, right, the bid numbers come in where anticipated and that there is sufficient funds in the contingency. So that may help you. I'm not saying you have to put it off, it just may give you more information.
Okay, I think then maybe we will put it off.
Okay.
Sound
But just
right?
understand what was driving that train for the fine bubble diffuser life cycle analysis was energy savings over time. I'm all for going green, but it costs the amount of money stated in order for that study to be done. And if you go back to when you were talking out bills, $2,400 for Royal Karting to take our recyclables, they were free 1 year ago. At the Association of Towns, that was discussed because China has cut us off. So what was free a year ago is now $65 a ton. The green world needs help.
Just since we're on sewer
Yeah,
mostly,
sure.
To Councilman Sullivan's point on infiltration, I do feel that's an important issue to be explored, right? Because it's inhibiting capacity at the plant. And as Richie said, once you get to a certain percentage on your daily flow, the DEC, not the EFC, but the DEC will require you to put plans in place to increase capacity, right? Increasing capacity is an incredibly expensive undertaking. So if you have improper infiltration, which you very well may, and you can eliminate that, that is, even though there's real figures associated with that, bringing cameras in and doing the work, that's much less expensive than you potentially might need to spend to increase your capacity at your plant.
Thank you.
And Richie, I don't honestly know where I got that from, but I knew that's exactly what we're looking for and
Yeah.
what you were looking for. So that could be another way of us cutting out the infiltration.
Correct.
I'm not sure we have that in our code or not. I don't think so.
I'll be honest, I haven't read it in full yet. I breezed through it briefly before the meeting.
Maybe you could offer Justin a copy of that
Yeah.
when we get done.
You can have this
You
copy.
do have provisions prohibiting infiltration into the
Is it,
system.
is it that?
It's the matter of.
Yes.
Oh, all right,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
And it's the matter of people not paying attention to that rule, and their water, for whatever their reason is going into the sewer. So that's the infiltration, as well as could be rainwater, could be any seepage, could be anything, but there's a lot of direct infiltration.
That's right. As much as I can do, because I'm not a professional engineer, when we do an RFP or when we accept the engineer tonight, part of what will help is like the RFP for the roof. That took like 3 days to do that, and there's a lot of trouble to go through to stick with the town's procurement policy, which I'm glad to do. The job is only a one-day job, and it took, you know what I'm saying? So when we get an engineer, you take like the TV camera, the pipes, and put them out on RFP. Even if they charge us $1,000 for it, to be able to manage that, because we have some money to TV camera the pipes. But what I am doing is I asked for the plant operator to give me the run times of each and every pump station for the last 3 years, and I'm going to compare them. And whichever one is, if there's one that's a red flag that ran the most, that's where the cameras are going first. I'm not done with that yet, but I'm working on it.
Excellent. Thank you, Rich. You may not be an engineer, but
So I have a question. So is that going to be one of the first jobs that we ask the engineer to do?
I would think so. I think it's pretty high on the list.
I agree with you. Because otherwise, 95% could cause us a whole lot of problem, especially if it exceeded 95%. The cameras would look like a real bargain at that point.
We'll conquer this. I'm not going to give a subjective number on how much I think is infiltration, but I know that there is a, not substantial, a considered amount, okay? And we can reduce our flow by that method.
okay, I have the annual contract for using Holy Innocents Church for senior dining. I need the board to authorize me to sign the contract. Nothing has changed in the contract, the same as it has been, excepting our town clerk has Adrian on here voting, but but we'll skip over that. And we'll let, also Bill Etzel's voting too, yeah. But yes. So anyway, I have a resolution to authorize the signing of the space use agreement for the use of the Holy Innocents Church for senior dining. Be it resolved that the Supervisor Livesey is hereby authorized to sign the space use agreement for the Holy Innocents Church for the senior dining program. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion that you be authorized to sign.
Second? Roll call?
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Gunza?
Even though I don't have a copy.
I gave
What?
it to you, to give it to the board,
I'm sorry, what?
the resolution.
You gave it to me to give to the board. If you gave it to me to give to the board, I didn't.
Councilmember Perry
Aye.
and Supervisor Livesey.
Aye. And I'm sorry I didn't read this over and have to embarrass you here at the meeting.
Oh, sure, I give it to you for your approval.
I know, I'm sorry. Okay, town engineer. We have around in here somewhere, for the last 2 weeks, you've had the answers to our RFP for a town engineer. If we've come up with a decision, and I'm going to put the monkey on Richie's back, and I'm going to ask you...
The other Richie, right?
Oh, the other Richie? No, actually, what I'm going to do is, do I have a motion to hire the firm of Fusco and Associates, is that his full name? Al Fusco and... I don't think I have, yeah, I do have it.
To hire
if it's
him
in there.
for.
It's Fusco Engineering.
And land
Fusco
surveying.
Engineering? I'll ask for a motion to hire Fusco Engineering as the town engineer. Do I have a motion? Being there's no motion, we'll eliminate that one. Do I have a motion for another company?
Go ahead.
Should I?
Sure.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to consider Lankin Tully as a town engineer.
Second that.
Okay, discussion. Anybody would like to talk it over?
Just so everybody knows, and then I'll be quiet. And I called all these people, no retainer, as an as-needed basis. For example, the building department had some discussion with the library about the wall being built, and they had to go to the village engineer because we don't have one on retainer. For those types of matters is what we're looking for, as needed. Not a cash cow, I made that clear to everybody I talked to.
I have a question.
Sure.
the MS4, would they be doing that?
If we assigned it to them, yes.
Well, I'm just guessing, or that if we hire an engineer, even on an as-needed basis, that's who we would filter our projects to.
We don't have to filter all of them to them. If it's already being done, I'm not sure who's doing it. Now, well, go ahead.
You do not have to filter all of them through, but I mean, the concept is, right, that the town engineer, in most areas where they have expertise, that's who you'd be relying on to develop the relationship. It's more cost-effective, right? If there was something specific outside the specialty area or where you really needed to go outside, but MS4 and that typical level of engineering.
Justin, I or you is going to have to look at, and I think Kelly has an agreement in her files with Fusco. It may be a 3-year agreement, I forget, on doing the MS4.
Okay, right. If there's something that's carved out because we already have a contractual relationship that we have to finish, fine.
That's what I'm getting
But
at.
generally speaking, you'd be looking to engage your
All right,
town
but in
engineer.
February, actually February the 14th, I think it was Kelly that sent us some information on the MS4 proposals from, was it this year or last year? Last year. I can read
Okay,
them off.
we can clarify that point. It's a little outside
Okay.
the motion on the,
There's no bad
Motion and
choice
discussion.
with the firm I made the motion for, or McGoey and Hauser. There's no bad choice. I'm just going with my gut. If you wanted to defer and have them come interview, fine, but I mean, there's no wrong choice. I won't have hard feelings one way or
No,
another.
I don't have a question on your recommendation. I just would like to see everything that's not a special project that we need a specific engineer for, to go to the engineer that we hire, because that's how they become familiar with your projects, your town.
Okay, and I don't disagree at all. It's just that vaguely, I remember we have some kind of a quasi-contract with Fusco, a 3-year contract or something like that.
I'm not sure if it's an actual contract
No.
or a 3-year proposal.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay,
I'll pull it out.
yeah, we'll
tomorrow.
look at that.
And we've
But-
had difficulties with that particular project before, so we might want to think about
sure.
making sure it's
Right.
someone that can handle it.
This engineer's looking into whether it's appropriate for a community of this size and whether there's other ways to address those concerns.
All right, I have a motion on the floor to hire Lankin Tully as the town engineer, as stipulated in their proposal.
You second, right?
Yeah, I have a second by Richie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, sounds like unanimous to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The old dial-a-bus. Okay, I think Colleen has sent out to everyone the information she could put together. There's a separate letter, which, as usual, I lose these things, from the county. I think she sent me an email from the county saying that if we decide to buy it for $1, keep it, we have no obligation in any time restraint before we can sell it. So to me, it would be, okay, we're going to give you $1. We're going to see that really in a month or 2 months, we're not using it. So we'll sell it and make a couple bucks off it. I don't see any sense in sending it back to them and not making anything off it.
Well, you already know my position was initially to acquire that for the purpose of the senior citizens having a exclusive bus kind of thing. Of course, Colleen laid those numbers out quite well, but I like your plan now better than my original
Yeah.
concept, because it may be too much expense to the maintenance, to maintain for a long period of time.
Yeah, we got to get it done, and what we decide a couple of months from now is fine, there's no big deal. But we don't have to decide tonight to get rid of it.
Right.
So I'll ask for a motion from the town board. Yes, Rich?
I make the motion that
To
we...
hold on to the,
that we,
to buy it from the
purchase the-
county for $1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. All right.
And if I may, Colleen did send out costs, approximate costs, utilizing it, maintaining it, The biggest problem, I think, is obtaining drivers,
Yeah.
qualified drivers. But it might be, we have time to look into it, but it might be a solution to some of the transportation issues that we're now facing, that we're paying for a very large bus, and we need a small bus.
Well, that was my original thought, and the reason why I was such an advocate for it in the beginning is that it may reduce the cost overall of transportation when we end up getting these buses and then have not as many people to fill those particular buses, but this little dial bus that we have might be sufficient. So I think we had to look at it
Right.
holistically.
And it does have 82,000 miles on it, so it's not forever. Maybe for the next 3 or 4 years, it'll provide some type of feasible use.
Okay, so I'll ask for, well, I think we already did, we already
We
voted
did
on it.
it.
Thank you very much. Okay. If that went too easy, too quick. Roof repair and the control building.
So everybody got the RFPs, and I'm gonna let Justin speak to the RFPs. You, out of the choices, there's 4 altogether, 2 declined. Justin, correct me, that still counts them as being one of the 3 points of contact. The contact effort was documented.
You're in compliance with
Okay.
your procurement policy.
2 did submit. One is a little bit cheaper than the other one. The one that's cheaper wants 50% up front and does not warranty the roof over a 5-year period of time. The other one is about $400 higher and will warranty it, and is a local person, does work locally, so it's at the board's pleasure. You got the notifications. I'm going to go ahead in front of the taxpayers and tell them I think it's worth it to spend $400 more on a local contractor that'll warranty it for 5 years. If anybody begs to differ, I have no problem with that.
In addition, they're not looking for 50% up front.
That's correct. I don't know that municipalities do that 50% upfront. I've not known that to be a situation where that would occur for that type of a job.
Depends on the nature of the contract.
Yeah.
All right,
I can name the 2 if you would
Yeah,
like me to. One is from Highland Mills, J.D. Griffin, and you all have the number in front of you. Can I say the number, Justin, or not?
Sure.
Okay. And the number, I believe, was 10,350. Am I right on that, Kelly? Yes, 10,350. Wanted 50% up front. The specifications, he went through for the snow and ice shield and the ridge vent and all the other things, putting flashing on the fascia. And if you read through it, there's no warranty on the materials being used. The other proposal was from McCarthy Carpentry for what I believe was, if I can find a number, $10,800 with a warranty for a 5-year period of time on the materials and on any leakage from the roof. So again, there's a difference of what, $450 I have. If the board wants to go lower, it's no problem for me.
Are we discussing it, or are we ready for a motion?
I'm going to ask for a motion. Anybody?
I'll make the motion to go with Jack McCarthy Carpentry, whatever based on the warranty and the no need for an upfront payment.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
Richard, second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a contract called the DWI contract. It's a typical agreement, normal, chief? Yes, sir. A regular agreement. This would be authorizing me to sign an agreement between the town of Highlands and the Orange County for Stop DWI program services, whereas in the county of Orange, New York State, has proposed an agreement with the town of Highlands Police Department, and the purpose of which to add additional police patrols to detect impaired, intoxicated drivers. Whereas the town board has reviewed the terms and conditions of the agreement, which happens to be the same as it's been in the past, Now therefore be resolved that the supervisor be and he hereby is authorized and directed to execute the agreement, and be it further resolved that the supervisor and officers of the town are hereby authorized and empowered to make, execute, deliver, or cause to be made, executed, and delivered as may be necessary to effectuate and carry out the contents of the foregoing resolutions and the terms and conditions of the agreement. Therefore, be it further resolved that the aforesaid resolutions shall take place immediately. Do I have a motion to allow me to sign the,
I'll make the motion.
A second.
and roll call, please?
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Gonza?
Aye.
Councilmember Perry?
Aye.
Supervisor Lindsay?
Okay, remember at our next meeting, we're going to look at the amended contract, or maybe a little information sheet from you, Justin, on the amended contract with Flisco.
Sure.
I put in your boxes, and you may have them up here now, the past contract or past agreement we had with the Department of Army concerning Long Pond and the lease. You know what they're asking for, so I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to be able to put together a meeting with them, but I'd like your ideas. Aaron has already sent some ideas, should they take it over, what we would need to see. I mainly, whatever they're gonna offer, if it's, if it makes us happy, because it could save us money, but like I said, it costs us $50,000. They don't want anything from us and just our people to pay what they've normally paid. That sounds like too good of a deal to be true. So I need to see some length to the contract. There's gotta be at least 15, 20 years, something like that. I mean, it can't be just a one-year contract and we'll see what happens next year. So, pass on your ideas to me if you have any, and if you hear any on the street, because they all knew about it before we did. That's what prompted me writing in my letter and saying, I want to renew our contract. So even the numbers that I read off to you, they were on the street too. Wow. Just amazing. That's all I have. Does town board have anything else?
Pleasure doing business with everybody.
Any other public comment? Nothing? Nothing? I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chief, if I could, somewhere within the next 10, 15 minutes here, get 5 minutes alone with you.